Claire Whitmore believed in patterns. Markets moved in cycles. People revealed themselves in habits. Even chaos, if observed long enough, left fingerprints behind. That belief had carried her from a scholarship kid juggling 2 jobs to the youngest CEO ever appointed at Whitmore Dynamics. She trusted data. She trusted instincts shaped by years of being underestimated. And that was exactly why she fell in love with Daniel Harper. Daniel didn't fit the pattern of men who pursued women like her. He never asked about stock prices or boardroom politics. He didn't brag, didn't posture, didn't shrink. He simply existed, steady, grounded, quietly confident in a way that felt rare and real. He was a single father. His daughter, Emma, was 6 when Claire met her, bright-eyed, cautious, fiercely attached to her dad. Daniel worked as a maintenance supervisor for a public school district. He fixed boilers, patched roofs, shoveled snow before sunrise. He lived in a modest house with a slightly crooked porch railing and a maple tree that dropped leaves everywhere in the fall. Ordinary. Safe. Claire had spent her life fighting for control. With Daniel, she didn't have to. They met by accident, literally, when her car broke down outside Emma's school during a thunderstorm. Daniel offered a jump start, then an umbrella, then coffee while they waited for the tow truck. He spoke gently to Emma, explained engines in simple metaphors, and never once asked Claire what she did for a living. By the time she told him, she already knew she wanted him. They married 18 months later. No media. No investors. Just a lakeside ceremony with string lights, Emma scattering petals with solemn concentration, and Daniel looking at Claire like she was something fragile and sacred. Claire thought she knew everything about her husband. She was wrong. The first crack appeared on an ordinary Tuesday night. Claire was in the kitchen reviewing quarterly projections on her tablet when the lights flickered, once, twice, then went out completely. The house plunged into darkness, sudden and absolute. Before Claire could even register the silence, Daniel was moving. "Stay where you are," he said, not loud, not panicked, but sharp. In 3 seconds flat, he had crossed the hallway, scooped Emma from her room, and returned, placing her behind him with one arm anchored protectively across her shoulders. His other hand checked the front door, then the back, then the windows, each movement precise, economical, silent. Claire froze. He positioned them in the center hallway. No windows, load-bearing walls, then crouched slightly, eyes scanning shadows that weren't there, body angled as if expecting something to break through the walls. "Daniel," Claire said carefully. "It's just a blackout." He blinked. It was subtle, but she saw it, the way his shoulders loosened, the way the tension drained as if someone had flipped a switch inside him. He exhaled slowly. "Yeah," he said. "Of course. Sorry." He smiled at Emma, ruffled her hair, made a joke about flashlights and camping indoors. The moment passed, but Claire couldn't unsee it. That night, after Emma was asleep, Claire asked him about it. "You moved like you were trained," she said. Not like a startled dad. Daniel shrugged, avoiding her eyes. "Old habits. Protective instincts." That was more than instinct. He kissed her forehead. "You married a guy who worries too much." She let it go. For now. Patterns, she reminded herself, often revealed themselves slowly. The second crack came at a charity gala. Claire hated those events, the forced laughter, the polished cruelty disguised as networking, but attendance was expected. She convinced Daniel to come with her, promising they'd leave early. He wore a simple suit, no watch, no cufflinks. He didn't look uncomfortable, but he didn't blend in either. While others performed for the room, Daniel observed it, tracking exits, noting clusters, listening more than speaking. Claire noticed. Near the bar stood a group of men she recognized immediately, private defense contractors. Loud, confident, dangerous in tailored suits. As Daniel passed them, one man stopped mid-sentence. His glass froze halfway to his mouth. "No way," the man said slowly. "Harper." Daniel stopped. The air shifted, tightened. Claire felt it like pressure change before a storm. Daniel turned. His expression went blank, not confused, not curious, but controlled. "You've got the wrong person," Daniel said calmly. The man's face drained of color. "I don't. Kandahar. You." Daniel silenced him with a look so sharp it cut the conversation dead. "Drop it," Daniel said quietly. The man swallowed hard. "Yes, sir, sir." The word echoed in Claire's head like a gunshot. They left minutes later. In the car, the city lights streaked past in silence. Do you know him? Claire asked carefully. Daniel's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Not really. That didn't look like, not really. Silence stretched. I told you, he said finally. I had a life before Emma. It's done. Claire wanted to push. Every instinct screamed at her to dig, to demand the truth. But something in his voice, final, guarded, told her this wasn't a boardroom negotiation she could win. Still, the pattern was undeniable now. The truth arrived uninvited. 3 weeks later, Claire was reviewing contracts when her head of security burst into her office without knocking, a violation serious enough to get anyone else fired on the spot. Ma'am, he said, pale. There's someone here. He says it's urgent. Before Claire could respond, the man entered. Dress uniform. Metals aligned with ruthless precision. Posture flawless. Eyes sharp with decades of command. Ma'am, he said, saluting. Colonel James Reyes, United States Army. Claire rose slowly. How can I help you, Colonel? Reyes hesitated, just enough to signal gravity. It concerns your husband. Her stomach dropped. Is Daniel in trouble? No, Reyes said. He's being requested. Requested for what? For a classified briefing, Reyes replied. One we hoped would never require his involvement again. Claire folded her arms, grounding herself. You're talking about my husband, the school maintenance supervisor. Reyes met her gaze evenly. Ma'am, your husband retired as a sergeant first class. Special operations. Highly classified unit. The room tilted. He was one of the most effective operators we ever had, Reyes continued. Strategic planning. Field leadership. Crisis containment. What does that mean? Claire whispered. It means, Reyes said carefully, that when situations spiraled beyond conventional control, your husband was sent in to stop them. Claire sank into her chair. Why now? She asked. Because something he buried stayed alive, Reyes said. And now people who know his capabilities are looking for him. Daniel didn't deny it when she confronted him. She laid the redacted folder on the kitchen table between them, black bars, fragmented reports, glimpses of a life he never shared. You let me believe you were just, ordinary, she said, voice trembling despite her control. I am ordinary now, Daniel said softly. You led missions. People called you, sir. I wanted to be Emma's father, he said. And your husband, not a weapon. Claire looked at him, this man who packed lunches, fixed leaky sinks, kissed scraped knees, and saw beneath it a past forged in discipline, violence, and sacrifice. And now? She asked. Daniel's expression hardened, not with fear, but resolve. Now, he said quietly, my past remembers my name. And for the first time in her life, Claire Whitmore, the woman who commanded corporations, realized she had married someone who had walked away from a kind of power she had never even touched. Neil lay beside her, breathing evenly, one arm draped protectively across her waist the way he always did. But now she noticed the details she'd ignored before. The faint scars along his knuckles, the way his body never fully relaxed, the instinctive positioning that kept him between her and the door. Power, she realized, wasn't always loud. By morning, her world began to fracture. The first sign came as an email. It wasn't addressed to Claire Whitmore, CEO. It was addressed to Daniel Harper, no title, no context, just his name in the subject line. The sender was a string of numbers and letters. The message itself contained only one sentence. We know where your daughter goes to school. Daniel read it once. Then he stood. Pack a bag, he said calmly. Claire looked up from the coffee she hadn't touched. Daniel. Not a discussion, he said, already moving. Emma first. His voice had changed. Not louder. Sharper. Focused. The man who helped with homework and grocery lists disappeared, replaced by someone terrifyingly competent. Within minutes, Emma was bundled into the car, confused but obedient. Daniel rerouted through back streets, checked mirrors, varied speed. Claire watched in stunned silence as her husband ran counter-surveillance like second nature. Who sent it? Claire asked finally. Daniel's jaw tightened. Someone who shouldn't exist anymore. They didn't go to a hotel. They went to a safe house. It was a plane rental outside the city, unremarkable, forgettable. Daniel checked the perimeter, tested doors, mapped blind spots. He disabled the smart TV and covered the windows. Claire's security team arrived within the hour, her people, armed and trained, but visibly deferential the moment Daniel spoke. You, Daniel said to her head of security, pointing. Two-man rotation. No predictable patterns. Eyes on the tree line at all times. The man nodded without question. Claire pulled Daniel aside. You're giving orders to my team. Daniel met her gaze. I know. And they're listening because they want your daughter alive. Something inside Claire shifted. She wasn't offended. She was relieved. That night, Emma slept curled against Claire, while Daniel sat in a chair by the door, awake and unmoving. You're not going to sleep, are you? Claire whispered. Daniel shook his head. I will when this is done. What is this? She asked. Who's coming for us? Daniel stared at the wall, jaw set. A man named Victor Cade. Former asset. Brilliant. Unstable. Asset. Claire asked. Someone we used, Daniel said. And then buried. Claire felt cold. And he wants revenge. He wants leverage, Daniel corrected. Revenge comes later. The attack came 3 days later. Not loud. Not cinematic. Precise. At 2:17 a.m., the power cut. Again. This time, Daniel was already moving before the lights died. Bathroom. Now, he whispered. He guided Claire and Emma into the small interior bathroom, positioned them behind the tub, and handed Claire a phone. Press this if I don't come back in 60 seconds. What does it do? She asked, shaking. Everything, Daniel said. Then he was gone. Claire held Emma, heart hammering, listening to the house breathe. 30 seconds passed. Then a sound, soft, deliberate. A thud. Another. No gunshots. No shouting. Just silence. At 48 seconds, Daniel returned. Blood smeared his sleeve, not his. Threat neutralized, he said calmly. Stay here. By morning, the truth could no longer be contained. Colonel Reyes arrived with a full briefing. Victor Cade had survived a mission meant to erase him. He'd spent years rebuilding, networks, resources. Grudges. Daniel had been the architect of Cade's downfall. He sees Daniel as the only one worth punishing, Reyes said. By taking what he values most. Claire felt fury rise, sharp and unfiltered. Then end it. Reyes hesitated. Daniel didn't. I will, he said. But not the way they want. Claire watched her husband prepare for war. Not with rage. With intention. He trained her security team in days what took others years, how to read silence, how to disappear in plain sight. He coordinated with Reyes, mapped Cade's supply lines, predicted movements before they happened. Claire saw the cost. The weight in Daniel's eyes. The restraint. You could have stayed, she said one night. Let the army handle it. Daniel shook his head. Cade doesn't respect systems. He respects me. And if you don't come back? She asked. Daniel took her hands. Then know this, I chose you. I chose this life. Nothing takes that away. The final confrontation happened offshore, in a decaying industrial complex. Claire wasn't there, but she felt it. Felt the hours stretch. Felt the tension break when the call came. It's done, Reyes said simply. Daniel came home 2 days later. He looked exhausted. Older. But alive. Emma ran into his arms. Claire followed, holding both of them, grounding herself in their warmth. That night, as they lay together, Claire whispered, I thought I married an ordinary man. Daniel smiled faintly. You did. She shook her head. No. I married a man who chose peace over power. He kissed her forehead. That's the hardest mission there is. And for the first time, Claire understood that the most dangerous thing about her husband wasn't his past. It was what he was willing to give up to protect his future.